season with one of the most exciting shows on Aptn, Buffalo Tracks. Join Aptn as he interviews more Aboriginal celebrities and personalities.
From Italy, like this, it's incredible.
I guess I wasn't sweet.
Sweet?
It was never sweet.
Thank you, everyone. We have one more show. We're just going to do a quick turnaround. Peter, let's go here. You want to talk to them? Wants to know what you
I don't know who I'm supposed to talk to.
Sure, you can talk to me. I'm Peter, the floor director.
Okay.
And you are?
Celia Hyde.
What happens is there'll be a little family playhouse, we'll do a commercial. At that point, Odjig and myself,
At 9 o'clock at the NFB John's Clock. Okay.
Sure.
The last my series on
Stephen? Headsets, please.
Oh, okay.
Either myself or someone else.
After the dinner, there's a dinner tomorrow here? I don't know where it is.
Oh, okay.
It's at, yeah,
Actually, you know what?
it's at Cold Stone, at his place.
Oh, okay.
And then we go
For audience.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Also,
There's a march and you got really bad.
Buffalo Tracks, and we have Annalyn. Honey, Annalyn.
Honey,
So you're ready to go on the air on Buffalo Tracks, eh?
I hope so. It took me I had a very scary trip down here on my plane, so.
Where did you come from?
I came from Sault Ste. Marie.
Oh,
Yeah, so I had to finish my office really quick and then scoot down here.
Right on.
Yeah, sounds like it's gonna be fun though.
Yeah, hello people in Wiki.
Hello, people in Wiki.
So you'll watch it on Aptn.
This is gonna be on Aptn?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You'll watch it on Aptn whenever.
Buffalo Tracks, which is a TV show that will be shown on Aboriginal People's Television Network sometime in.
Welcome back to Buffalo Tracks. Thank you, Najwan. Next up, I insisted that we have an Aboriginal physician. These are actually quite a rare breed. There are less than 50 Aboriginal physicians working in Canada. She was recently named, my next guest, one of the new national Native role models for Canada for the coming 2 years. Dr. Annalyn Odjig is here. Woo! Dr. Odjig, new national Native role model, one of the few Aboriginal physicians in the country, and all the eyes of the country in Indian country are looking at you saying, role model, we want to be just like her. You're like a parent's wet dream.
Yeah, funnily enough, I've heard that before.
So, you're a physician working in your home community, is that correct?
Actually, I do a lot of traveling. Right at the present time, I'm doing locum work, which is basically a temporary position for physicians that are going on vacation or studying extra courses, that type of thing.
And you're also traveling with the national parachuting into Indian communities all over the place and talking to their youth.
Oh yeah, I was very happy to be nominated, and I think that's a bonus to what I'm doing. So it's quite exciting, actually.
So why medicine? What made you end up there? Because not very many people end up there. Not very many sane people.
Yeah, I've questioned my sanity a few times. Actually, I had interest in science, and you probably all know this, being a potential future colleague.
Yes.
Oh, you'll do it. Actually, I had an interest in science, more, I guess, in-depth fascination with how the body works, and also had another experience where I just was noticing that when I take my grandfather to the doctors, or had taken relatives, you know, and was a fly on the wall, so to speak, I found that there was lots of things there that interested me, not only from the science, but also communication with our people. So, and I didn't see a lot of Native physicians out there, so I thought, oh, this is cool.
So you had to do, because I think a lot of people don't understand the actual process of becoming a physician. After you had to do some pre-med courses, which was a few years, maybe even an undergraduate degree, and then you do your medical doctorate, which takes another 4 years, which you did at the University of Alberta, and then you do your family practice residency, which is another 2 years, so that you can just start working in Indian communities.
Yeah, it seems like you're in school forever, but it's worth it.
Poor health generally in Canada.
Oh, it's unreal. It is. It's a bit staggering as far as if you were to look at some of the statistics, you know, sort of equivalent to third world medicine basically, and it's unfortunate, but, you know, there's strides being taken now. It's all negative aspects of our poor health and whatnot, but I think that the more professionals we have out there, I think that's going to change, and I'm pretty optimistic about that.
And I think it's wonderful that you're still so resi. You know, I have a story. I don't know if you remember this, but when I first met you, it was with a group of student physicians. There were a whole bunch of us. I couldn't tell
Winnipeg.
who was.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Winnipeg.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell who was Indian and who wasn't, because, you know, in Indian country there are so many mixed race people. But you were sitting there and you told this story. You said, what are we all going to do together? Why don't we, like, go on a water slide? And you said, the water slides, they're like one big douche. And that's how I knew you were from the Res. And all the other Indians in the group went, and all the white people were going, I don't think that was appropriate. Do you remember that?
I thought it was an enema that I said, but anyway. I do remember, actually. I think it was when I laughed the loudest, so.
Because I was so proud of you, because I thought that, you know, when you go away to university, you have to trade in your heritage and your color and your personality and become this empty vessel to be filled.
Actually, there was a lot of that changed, I must admit. You suffer for your art, and what you suffer for makes it a part of yourself. And I think that another part of myself that I did not lose track of and was very proud of was the fact that I am a Anishinaabe and I come from a First Nations community, and I waved the banner as high as I could. And I think that my classmates, by just having me there, learned a little bit about our culture and some of our beauty. And I think that doesn't get focused enough on in medical school, because they always talk about Aboriginal health issues. You know, you have diabetes, you have TB, you have this and that, but I thought we also have a lot of great gifts to offer as well if people are willing to look for it. And I was actually there and had great efforts to share that with people, because we are a sharing people, and I think that that was an important aspect, and I felt myself there an educator as well as a student. So.
Yes. Is there one single question that you often get asked from your Aboriginal patients that all the Indians out there should know about and hear an answer from you about?
Are you sure you're Indian? I've never seen an Indian doctor before, so that's the big thing. And then, fortunately, where I work, I do get a chance to speak my own language around a lot of the elders, so it gives me a chance, now that my grandfather is gone, to share and speak. And I actually find that I get a lot more information as well, because there's a bond there, and you get a lot more information and a lot more relaxation from the patients, and I really enjoy that. I take great inspiration, because not only am I there to help them, they're there to help me. So.
Yes. And so how do you say rectal exam in your language?
I've been struggling with that one.
Yeah, it's a tough one, eh?
You have to sort of demonstrate it.
So I am going to be a doctor working in the Indian community, like, in a couple of years. Do you have any advice for me about how to make it?
I think that if you're proud of who you are, I don't think you'll have any troubles. and having the humor and having a sense of humor, I think will serve you in good stead. Not only through your studies in medical school and all the studying that you have to do to take your final exams, and I've been there, you have to have the sense of humor. And I think that if you carry that with you in your training, it'll be there with you when you're out there in the real world. And I think you'll do well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, one last thing before we go, and we're going to go to break now, is I have this magic stethoscope, and maybe you heard it. It's given to me so that I can listen to the heart of our people. And I would like for you to like kind of bless it by using it on me and finding my cardiac apex. Would you do that for me?
With your clothes on?
Sure. Do you want to make me wait 45 minutes first?
Yeah, okay.
All right, and while she's doing this, we'll be right back. Najuan, take it away.
Last show we heard a couple of times we heard cell phones going on. Also, this gadget here will be floating around in the river.
Place.
Since you're going to be focusing on him, right? Just, can you stand on him? Okay? Sit there. Sit there. Okay. Yeah. Right here? Go on like that.
Welcome back to Buffalo Tracks. So, Annalind, how do you separate yourself, like, because you're in Aboriginal communities, how do you stop being somebody's niece or something like that and still be able to, like, give a proper examination? Like, for instance, you know, if I had to give my grandmother a breast exam, you know, and become the physician, that's really different than...
I think there's always a part of you that was sort of translating what actions you do, but I mean, there's all the aspect of respect and asking first, you know.
Yeah.
Aww. And you do good things as well. I hear that you were in Toronto again, just trying to make the world a better place.
Check. Well, I went to downtown again. I'm always downtown, seems like it, huh? Anyways, I went downtown and I ran into this guy. He was doing a job. So that's what I want to show you guys today.
Oh. Okay, let's have a look.
Hey, I'm on Bay Street. I found some more moose. Guess what? What are you doing to that moose?
Giving it a lobotomy.
Oh.
That way they won't run away. They'll just stand here.
Is that the first time you ever ridden a moose? Really? Bareback?
Always bareback, yeah. We believe that there's a citywide conspiracy to remove the antlers off all these moose all over Toronto.
So these moose are making people mad?
Yeah, we believe it's a citywide conspiracy of investment.
Well, we are on Bay Street.
Yeah, it's Bay Street. You can't trust these people. Toronto, you know, they're full of people who like to destroy for no reason.
Huh. Well, are they really real moose antlers?
No, they're made out of plexiglass.
How come they're so small? Those are small. Look how big that moose is. I'm from the Yukon. I know what the real
Yeah, it is pretty crazy.
Well, thank you.
Take it easy, Susie.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
How do you know my name?
It's right there, sister.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Grandma Susie, you never failed to
I
amaze
know.
me.
Everybody already knows my name. Good, eh?
Yeah, you're pretty
Yeah.
famous, Grandma. Thank you, Grandma Susie. I hope we get to see more of your adventures in other shows.
Okay.
And thank you to Dr. Annalyn Wakikijig.
You're welcome.
And thank you for blessing my stethoscope. I could find a heartbeat because, you know, I used to have a heart, but then I thought, who needs a heart when a heart can be broken?
Oh.
It's true. So, and thank you to Najwan. Thank you to all our guests and to our audience here and our producer James, wherever he is. And that's all for tonight. You've been watching Buffalo Tracks. My name is Evan Adams, and I hope you'll tune in again to our show. Thank ya.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Emot.
Okay, do your job.
Okay. Next up, we have Bisha Wanda, who's an old friend of mine for many, many years, and who's been working in health, mental health, for almost 30. Here she is. Bisha Wanda, I haven't seen you for about 12 years, I swear.
Well, it doesn't really seem that long.
I know it doesn't.
Yeah, and by the way, congratulations on your schooling.
Oh, thank you,
I'm
yes.
so proud of you.
Thank you. When I first met you, I was a teenager, just starting to work in Aboriginal communities around issues around mental health. But you've been doing this for a very long time. In fact, one of the very first frontline workers working in Indian country.
Yes.
And today you continue that work?
Yes, what we're doing these days now is we've moved into trauma recovery work. And a little bit of the background that I've been involved in with regard to that has been working with the 6 villages that were involved in the Alaska oil spill.
Oh, yes.
We were involved with the Navajo people in the hantavirus epidemic. And of course, we were involved with the post-recovery work with the Mohawk communities after the crisis in '90. And we learned a lot.
My goodness. So from north to south, from hantavirus to international incidents in downtown Montreal, that's stunning.
Yeah.
And you were there working with people and helping them to understand better what exactly has happened to them.
Yeah, and beyond even Native people, we were involved in the bridging of human relations. That was exciting.
My goodness. And so what kind of work are you doing with these people? Is it counseling work where it's one-on-one?
I think what we're doing is education, really. I'm a trainer by profession, and I think it's important to understand that when trauma happens to people, one of the first things that goes is trust. When you look at Native people, we are a tribal society, and tribal societies are built on relationships.
Yes.
If you have no trust, then you have a relationship breakdown. And so trauma recovery work for our people is about rebuilding our relationships with one another.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we as Native people, we deserve better lives, but often we do have lives filled with trauma.
I think we get stuck in it. And I think one of the other things that we learned probably the last 5 or 6 years in our recovery work is that at some point, you know, if we do our grief work in the morning that we need to do about the losses that we've gone through, then I think you have to move beyond. We always say we have to stop the cycle of abuse.
Yes.
At some point, we have to move beyond. And so trauma recovery work automatically moves into what is called resiliency work. And that is to appreciate and celebrate what got us through in the first place. You know, all of us who went to residential school, I went to residential school, I went through the abuse, and yet, you know, I have such a joy for life. So what I had to do was to take a look at what is it that got me through and to celebrate that, you know, humor, compassion, a special someone, all of those kinds of things. And so we need to be able to learn how to identify that. And the second thing that we've learned to do is to reframe the experience. So when I look at my boarding school experience, which was not very nice, for about 20 years I was kind of a self-pity trip. And what I did was, oh, poor me, oh, this is what happened. And it crippled me emotionally and spiritually. When I was learning how to reframe that experience, all of a sudden I realized that what I had done, was slapping that little 5-year-old, 50-pound, skinny little Indian girl. That little Indian girl stood up to that 200-pound nun, and she said, in her own heart, no matter what you do to me, you will never make me forget my language. Well, I'm 55 years old today, and I still speak my language. And so I was able to reframe the experience from a crippled position to one of a power position. I saw the resilience, the perseverance, the fortitude of that 5-year-old girl.
How wonderful and inspiring that no matter what we go through and no matter how hard done by we feel, because yes, life has been unjust to Aboriginal people, you can still put it in a different context and say, I made it through, there's reason to be happy, there's reason to trust, there's reason to love.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What a simple but wonderful message, and we actually need to hear it in order to believe it.
Yes, I think so. And then when you're doing that resiliency work, then you're able to appreciate and celebrate natural gifts that we have, such as, my ability to see, my ability to walk. When is the last time you said thank you that you could see? That's
yes.
An attitude of gratitude. That's resilience in ourselves.
Now, you know what you're talking about because not only did you go through the residential school system, but I also know you were affected with polio,
tuberculosis. We had
and in an iron lung.
We had a TB epidemic in the mid-50s, and I think at that time any Indian who got sick was thrown into a TB hospital. And I was in there for almost 5 years as a child. And then many years later as a young adult, when I had some tests done, they found out I never had TB. And at that time when in the hospital I was diagnosed that I would never walk again and I would never have children. While I walk, I was the first hoop dancer, female hoop dancer in Canada in the 60s, and I had 4 kids.
One of them who's so gorgeous.
Oh, yes. that's because one of my sons is a twin to this guy. I feel so bad for my son. Oh,
He's
yes.
so full of joy right now.
By the way, how do you like my outfit?
It's gorgeous. You look beautiful.
This is my
always.
storytelling outfit.
Oh. Not only are you working like on individual with people, you are working like on a national level. And one of the approaches you take is through storytelling.
Yes.
You just like fill the world with love. It's astounding.
Well, I was lucky. I was raised by grandmothers and grandfathers. My mom died when I was a baby, and so I was taken in by old people. And so I've been around old people all my life. And you learn to listen, and you learn to watch. And you also learn to wonder about life. And in spite of all the trauma that I went through, I never lost my awe and wonder of life. And I think that that's where all of that came from, imagination. I went to a daycare center, a native child daycare center some time back. I was speaking at a conference, and I saw this beautiful daycare center, $20,000, $30,000 worth of equipment in there, anything a child could want. And while that's up in the bush as a little kid, all we had was our imagination.
Yes.
But I had a Cadillac, I had a dance hall, I even had an audience. My audience, we would bring salt to the fence that was about 20 feet away from where our dance hall was, and then the cows would come over. And we would truly believe that the cows were there to watch us dance, step dance. So I had this imagination, it was always nourished. My oldest sister, Violet, who was a teacher, encouraged me to read, to write. I had an aunt who had a grade 3 education who told me, be ignorant and you will never be stupid. And now, as a grandmother, I go to bed at night. When I am home, I have 2 granddaughters with me. I live with my daughter and her family, and each night when I am home, I have a granddaughter on this side and a granddaughter on this side. And I start off telling a story. Now, we don't tell any stories around, you know, Snow White and Cinderella, because those are all dysfunctional women. So most of the time, we tell native stories with lessons in them, or we make up our own. Most often we make up our own. And so I may start out saying, well, once upon a time, you know, there was a princess, and her name was, and my granddaughter will say the name, and there was a witch, and her name was. Story. And I'm nourishing their imagination. And I think what I'm doing is that I am wanting to leave a legacy with them, to have humor, to have compassion, you know, to be in awe and wonder of the world. And if they can have that, then truly in their hard times, they will turn their hard times into triumphs of the human spirit. I think that's a legacy that we can all leave our children.
Thank you.
The indomitable spirit of our people.
And what a wonderful gift, and they will always remember you. Thank you very much, Bishawanda.
Thank you.
Go to Nadjawan.
There's been a change in my disposition.
Welcome to our unveiling of the murals. We have a lot of photography, masks, some native work to display today. We also are here to, how am I supposed to hold this? Here to acknowledge the we are here to acknowledge those people that were here to help the students. First of all, I would like to ask Mrs. Pelche to say a few words. Keeps cutting off and on. It keeps cutting off on and off, yeah.
Honey. It's not working? Sometimes. Annie, good morning. Can't get it. It's on. Annie, good morning. I guess if anyone has had a chance to look around, it's really great to see that our students can express themselves artistically. I see the future wiki to my right, and then back there is our past, and I'm not sure what's back here. I guess we'll all find out. It's also great to see some of the earlier work that was done by the students in the way of the quilting. A lot of our students are looking at their past work and saying, I did that in grade 9, and I encourage the younger students that this work will be here at the school, and it will be a memory of you and what you did while you were at Wasalban High School. So I want to congratulate the students of this year and years past for what you have done in the art program. And I also want to say miigwech to Mrs. Laval. She has the energy, persistence, and constantly seeks ways of promoting our students' work. Chimiigwech, Mrs. Laval. And also at this time, I also want to say miigwech to the 2 artists who helped our students this past semester, Mr. Sywink and Jeanette Ishkakan. Chimigwech for helping us. I'll just say I'm glad to be here. I always enjoy attending any of these gatherings because it does show us that our students are very talented and they do care about doing their best. Miigwech.
So just like this, right in front of you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pelchi. I would like to now ask Cecilia Pitwanakut to say a few words on behalf of Chief and Council.
Ani, my name is Cecilia Pitwanakut. I'm a band counselor in Wikwemekong. And on behalf of the band council, I'd like to congratulate all the students. I really appreciate the little tour I had this morning. I'm very impressed with all the work, and especially on winning your places over at the Hurt Museum. I was impressed that you're competing internationally, and I'm very grateful for all those students that have participated. And I'd like to congratulate again the opening today, and also to express all my thanks also to all the artists that are teaching, like Mike again. Really appreciate sharing his knowledge with us, and Jeanette Ishkakan, and also with the WHO office participating. Amigos.
Miigwech Cecilia. Next, I would like to call upon Mrs. Lavelle, who has made this possible with her energy and dedication.
Now you can take that. Okay. Miigwech. Well, good morning. Okay. I guess I have to stand on this spot here. To begin, I would really like to give thanks to all the visual arts students and to all the other students who were involved in this project. It encompassed several of our courses, actually. Not only were the grade 9 art students part of this art project, but we also had our parenting group who did a mural that you will be able to see, and we had our fashion and design students participating as well. So it did include several other classes. And to thank the students, because they really did work hard. It took a lot of extra effort and time, and we kept pushing them, and you know, there were times when I think there was a little bit of rebellion. However, in the final outcome, everyone cooperated and they were committed. And I'm really impressed with the outcome of their efforts, and I'm sure you will be too. We have the unveiling that will take place, and at which time you'll be able to view some of the more specific works that the students have worked on. All this would not have been possible without the assistance of the Wikwemekong Heritage Organization, namely Cynthia, who helped in drafting our proposal to the Ontario Arts Council. And we were successful in getting funds because, as you know, we do need some extra little bit of funds every now and then to help us out in the delivery of our courses. So the Ontario Arts Council did provide us with the necessary monies to invite our artist, Michael Sywink, whose main responsibility was with the murals, and Jeanette Ishkakagan, who helped the students with the mock assessments. And as you can see, they both did an excellent job, and my personal thanks to each of you. In the process, I think Mr. Maloney and I learned some of your expertise, and for that we are very grateful. So, without, I guess, taking up too much of your time, I'd like to ask our, I'll call them artists in residence, to come up and say a few words. Michael Sywink, would you come forward, and then Jeanette?
I almost passed the buck. I would like to thank the students that I had an opportunity to work with. They're all gathered over there collectively. They were quite a bunch of characters at first until they realized what potential they actually have. I'm losing power here, grounding out. The whole compositions of the murals came from ideas that we got to. Can you hear me from this? Hey, okay. The whole compositions that came together were from, and again, it's going to be told by one of the students, so I don't want to take everything from them and their expressions. So the masks are something else. They were put together by the students. All I did was help them in balancing with their colors or ideas for or appliquing the techniques, but reassuring that the students have creativity. We all have creativity because creativity is our tradition, and it just takes a matter of having someone that has the technique to help guide these students, just as we needed to have guidance in our younger days, or we still need to have guidance as we're growing into our elder days. And with this, I'm going to pass the mic over to my relation here. I don't know how this works. It's a high tech. You just have to keep it on the balance and keep it a certain distance from your face. Be close though.
Wanda.
Yeah, really close.
Honey.
There we go.
Non doimna. With the nami wetchwa.
Okay, I'll hold it. Okay.
Inga mi wetchwa minada moed manda ishkimachta winan kiani gunam. Winda bi mangishonia sona ka medaboma manda winan kia. Na Cynthia Bell. Minash mava na economagik have menada mochik. Mrs. Jeanette Lavelle, mina Michelle Maroney. Migna gonda ni binagnagi ugi no government ni not the chick. And minolash gonda nak students. Gik chinenda mo digi chinaki mo go up chugi no gik chinenda mo shkiwada mo da ni magzen or ni ikino mo go. We know you shkiwada na annen. We know im bidwar gito na. Hapchung gik chinenda mini. Om magway shkese ot wigna kinomong gido we should and we know we nixketo na we know ni we nigistot nen misa mai tam nige kitiamba migoch
Here, I would just like to invite all those students who were responsible for doing the artwork, if you would be available, you can be beside your artwork to explain to any of the guests, perhaps they would like to talk to you individually. So if you could stand by your pieces of artwork and